At the last City Council meeting on August 13th, 2025, the Council started talking about the Housing Authority and about how there is a need to right-size the Housing Authority. It's miraculous to me that this is a conversation that they're having now after I've been talking about this with them for 15 years, and now they're going to understand that this is an issue. And just I apologize ahead of time. This is going to be a long video because I have a lot of excerpts from different meetings. And in this meeting, this next video is going to be from the August 13th council meeting, where they're talking about right-sizing the Housing Authority and about how there's nothing they can do. And this is the usual MO. They talk about a problem that they really are concerned about it, but there's nothing they can do about it. So let's take a look and watch that video.
This time we have Councilman Arnone.
As your representative on the Housing Authority, as in the past, I provided an update of statistical information relating to the population of public housing communities located within the city of Johnstown. As of July 31st, 2025, the total population of Johnstown Public Housing Community was 2,464. Our Section 8 voucher population in the city of Johnstown totaled 996. This amounts to a total population of 3,460 families. We are currently assisting an estimated 46% of the people living in poverty in the city of Johnstown. Over 50 families currently residing in Prairie Prospect out of the 110 apartments on site. The large majority are former residents, though some families have joined the community through standard transfers and new admission policies. Move-ins are still steady in Prospect and all JHC communities as usual. The Housing Authority has drafted an annual plan currently available for review on the JHA website and JHA office. Updating the plan on an annual basis of regular requirement and does not include any significant changes or daily operations. The next step in the Choice Neighborhood Planning Grant process is another community input event to be held on the week of August 18th. The Choice Neighborhood team will currently accept additional surveys from residents of JHA Coopersdale and surrounding neighborhoods. The Housing Authority would like to thank its co-applicant, the Cambria County Planning Commission, for successful events so far in the planning and process of this JHA community surrounding neighborhoods, and is grateful for the positive support of the community members. Is there any questions about the Housing Authority at this time?
Oh, I do have a question. Representative Burns asked that we join in with him and present to the Housing Authority, not you, but federal, to look seriously into reducing the number of properties that are here. We're not right sized for our population.
We understand it.
I'm not done. Okay. We did that once before. If you recall, we had Senator Langerholt participate. We had people from Tech come up here. We had Dr. Joyce was here. We had several other people. We met over the conference center. Right, we went over there. We met with them, pleaded our case because that is basically the one that controls us. They heard us, gave whatever reason why we can't right size our numbers here with our population. And I do agree with Representative Burns. I think we need to do it again. And I sent everybody a message saying, we've got to do this. I have no problem doing this again. I think the more times you do it, maybe somebody will listen to us. So I understand it's a HUD thing, and we've heard from them, but I think we ought to keep pounding them to say we are not right sized for our population. We really are not. And the housing choice thing, I voted against that because I don't think people know that. For every 100, they want to eliminate 100 properties, but they want to add 20. It's not eliminate 100 and go down to 80. It's 100 plus 20. That's what the consultants have told us. We can't have that. And I think we need to approach HUD again and say, collectively, City Council, Mayor, Senators, Congressmen, everybody, please right size us for the amount of housing that we have for our population, because it's not getting any better. It's not. So right now you said Prospect's only half full, okay? So That would have been a perfect opportunity to eliminate the whole unit up there, but we didn't. But we got to figure out how to right size it. And I understand it's repetitive, but I think the more we keep going to HUD and say, we cannot deal with this anymore. The police are going crazy. When I saw the statistical numbers of calls from the police department for what they are dealing with, the housing authority, that's crazy. I don't know what compensation they're paying us to take care of the policing over there, but I don't think it's enough. I really don't. I think our police were all there all the time, and that's not right. And I think HUD has to realize that. They have to realize we are not doing what we should be doing for this community, and it's their fault. They need to reduce it, and I think collectively we need to go back with it.
I'm in the process of responding to that via letter on behalf of the mayor and hopefully council. But as I sit here, this is at the federal level, it isn't at the state level, and no offense to Representative Burns or anyone else. I sat with the head of HUD in Washington, D.C., in the Capitol.
I get it.
And I asked him specifically, what does Johnstown need to do to reduce and shrink? We have 60,000 people, we have under 20 now. And the answer was, no, we're not going to get any reduction. That was bold-faced right to me in Harrisburg with the head of HUD.
That's why I got
That's
on
the problem. That's the problem.
Excuse me now, if I can read it.
Sure, go ahead.
That's why I got on the board. I wanted to see if you do this. I actually went there for that purpose. I have done nothing but to try and make it work. We have an operator that is in full communication where we never had before, and you both know that. I'm sure that you know that he's more communicative and more done in those areas than possible. We can't. We've tried. I continue to bring it up. We have not the authority nor the ability to do it. And like the mayor said, they told him right to his face that they're not going to do it. The problem is, it's the whole state of Pennsylvania. It's the need within the state of Pennsylvania. And they don't consider Johnstown just anything. They consider it as a part of the game plan for the population of the state of Pennsylvania.
Not just Johnstown.
Not just Johnstown. And I understand you, and I truly believe it, and I would fight for it till I'm dead. But that's not how they look at it. And the answer that I get is, because the state of Pennsylvania doesn't have enough places, that's why they're going to say that this has to be.
Oh, I'm curious to see what other places the ratio is population versus housing. I don't think anybody.
I understand your point, but Joe, what you're not understanding is they were built when we had the population, and they're not building new ones.
What I'm saying, Chuck, is, let's just say Reading, okay? What's Reading's population versus the amount of housing? What's their percentage? We are so lopsided, and I don't think that, and somebody needs to prove me wrong, I don't think any other community is as lopsided as we are. I really don't. Somebody needs, maybe you can show me that. I would love to see statistically what the
I'll try to find
ratio is.
that.
Well, here's one problem, if I can just interject statistically. I sat with a PA representative for the entire day. The problem was we had data from the school district, we had data from the unemployment office, and we had data from HUD. None of the three matched. They were extremes. HUD said there's only 8, school district was saying there's hundreds of kids coming in and out, and housing authority and the others have different numbers. So until we get our numbers
Well,
straight,
that's what I want us
that's
to
the data
do.
part that you're talking about.
That's what I want us to do.
If I can make a suggestion, because that is a big problem, okay?
Yes, it is.
Everybody reporting different numbers, okay? As far as joining in on a letter, we need to have Representative Burns, okay? Johnstown Housing Authority, and not just sending emails. There needs to be a sit-down meeting with the school district, with everybody involved, with everybody involved. We had that meeting over at the county, at the county building, okay?
For 2 days.
Yes, and not send a representative, but come yourself. So, because guess what, maybe there's things that we can do that we don't want to do, okay? But I just think that there needs, all the entities need to come together and sit down and talk and work something out. And maybe if someone would see everybody on the same page,
That's what I'm saying.
yes, everybody on the same page, perhaps maybe that would make a difference.
I just think we need to keep bringing it to the people. I think just stopping it, saying, oh, you said no, we can't, I don't care. Every year,
I'd like Mr. Arner to conclude his report.
I think one of the pieces we need to do instead of the blame game is the city's fault or the housing authority's fault. I think we need the community to get behind us, basically their voice. Is there others strong tonight? voice their opinion, that we're getting a lot of people from outside of Johnstown. Not that we don't welcome them, but when we look at our income levels, et cetera, it's putting Johnstown at the lowest levels, one of the poorest cities in the state because of some of that. So this is not just the city officials' issue, I think it's all of our issues.
Absolutely.
And I would expand on what you're saying, is not just a meeting with them, and invite the public to it too. They're the loudest voice.
Yes.
So I had an impromptu response at that council meeting, and we're going to show that video now of my response in the comment section from that council meeting. And really that it was about frustration of them talking about an issue that's over a decade that we've been talking about, and they've ignored. We've called meetings to have they were talking about having a meeting and bringing everybody together. We did this almost a decade ago. We've asked to have a meeting, bring everybody together, get on the same page, and address this issue. They foo-fooed that. They didn't want to talk about it. And now we're still at the talking point for this same issue with the same problems. They're not moving forward at all. They're just talking about a problem. And I think honestly they're just talking about a problem so that they can cover over the fiasco that they made of the Central Park project. So I think it's really just kind of grandstanding and hiding the problems that they've caused with the Central Park, and they're talking about the Housing Authority. So let's take a watch and look at what my response was for after that.
I agree with Joe Taranto, TARA, and 426 Park Avenue. I agree that the park's a mess. I don't know what's going on with it, but I guess we'll find out. But I did pick up on when you guys were talking about the Housing Authority, and it's kind of a pet peeve of things being unresolved that were brought up but not listened to. Trying to right-size a Housing Authority, many times I have spoken about this and talked to some of you about it directly. But to change the number of housing we have in the city, you first have to change the consolidated plan. I know you don't want to hear that, but your plan calls for increasing of low-income housing several times in the plan, and I've made little video tutorial things online about it. But I know you guys, some of you have said I'm wrong, but I talked to the people at HUD as well, and they told me that. So, directly to me, they said to do that. The steps to do that would be to change it, is to change that plan, to change the housing authority, the public housing units into Section 8 vouchers, because you can't displace people, but you can change them to the vouchers. As we know, they poured out, so many of them won't be in our city. You can do that through various programs. One that I was talking about at the time years ago was the RAD program that you guys can look up. It's on the HUD website. And you also will say, well, what about we don't want to have all that Section 8? When I was on the Housing Authority, I helped implement that home ownership program because it raises the bar of the people who qualify for the vouchers. So the Section 8 program, you can do that. You can do it regular rental or home ownership, which is another avenue. And the Housing Authority did an evaluation and said it was a good program to implement, and I think it got dropped. With those vouchers, you can also implement developer partnerships where there's certain grants for developers that where you commit a certain number of vouchers to the development, and those developers can wipe out areas of blight, build full live workspace where they have 20 rental units and like 5 commercial buildings down below, and they commit 10 of those 20 with a voucher program, and it's basically guaranteed income from the government to that developer to pay for the loan from the bank. There's all kind of programs like that. We tried to talk about that years ago, and I'm frustrated that we're still having the same problem 10, 15 years after there was a viable solution. But yeah, you can't just displace people, but there's things you can do to right-size it within the program. So, but yeah, park is a mess, but you guys have fun. I'm sure everybody else will talk about it. If you have any questions, I will charge you about $2 million
I just have one comment. The home ownership program, best my knowledge, was implemented, and there were only 4 houses ever done, and they were all in Coopersdale. I'm not asking for it.
That's a different program.
No, we're not. Yeah.
So as you can see at the council meeting this August, my frustration with them talking about the Housing Authority and right-sizing public housing and in the city. And that only comes because we have a history of them denying that there's an issue or walking around that issue or just flat out just not talking about the issue. So we're going to take a little trip back to 2017, and this next video is going to be John D. Bartola doing a speech at the Johnstown Housing Authority meeting, and we're going to take a look at that and listen to what he has to say. And his speech, he's calling for a public meeting with the Housing Authority, City Council, and the Redevelopment Authority to all get together and talk about right sizing and other issues with the Housing Authority. So let's take a listen to what he has to say.
Good afternoon. I'd like to start off with a thank you to Dan and Beverly. They met with me on October 16th. I had a right to know request looking into your expenses and basically your junkets. I was pleased to discover that since Dr. Taranto has taken over as chairman of the board, you do not have frivolous expenses anymore. I was very pleased to see that. The one example was a board member who had, I believe, $10,000 in 1 year, another one a couple years before that. That's not happened in several years. So I commend you all for your restraint, for using these for educational purposes and doing a good job. I come before you today, our leaders, our representatives, as I would call you, of our tax-paying citizens, hoping that you would pass a motion for a joint meeting with the City Council and Redevelopment Authority, because you see how important it is that we all come together to lift Johnstown out of the poverty and the distress that is here in our community. With you making this motion and working in that direction, you show the citizens of our community that you truly want to create a Johnstown that works to end poverty and to uplift our community and to make it a place that is good for all. Please pass this motion to work together with the City Council and the Redevelopment Authority to have a meeting jointly to work together and to take action to solve our problems with a set agenda, with public comment, after 5 p.m., so everyone can attend with the goal of accomplishing change. This shows by doing this, you have leadership. And I remind you all, you are supposed to be leaders. I know there's been a lot of controversy about just having a joint meeting. The City Council did pass the meeting. They asked me to set the details. The Redevelopment Authority passed this motion last Tuesday. They were concerned that if the meeting occurred at City Council, they would be judged by the council sitting above them. I believe these details are very sad to admit to people, and I hope that it's not petty egos that dictate this meeting. I'm asking the meeting to be here at the Housing Authority because you have all these tables in a nice shape that have no leader. And I'm asking everyone to show up, and I know we have issues with Jack Williams and Charlene Stanton. I am personally appealing to them to be at this meeting. I believe we need all of us together in one room. I'd like to leave here today with at least 3 dates and times, hopefully after 5 p.m. I know the Housing Authority has had issues setting meetings after 4 p.m. This has to change. We have to start having these meetings. We have to discuss the concentration of poverty, the crime, the drugs, and ways to help our city and lift us back up. So I encourage you all, I hope there's at least 3 of you who will vote for this meeting. Please make it 5 p.m. Please make it here. Please allow me to have at least 3 dates and times so I can go back to the other 2 bodies. I'd like to see this happen. I think if all of us can work together in concert with one another, just to have a conversation of ways we can change our community, we can actually uplift what we're doing. So please consider this. Councilman Vidovich, thank you for recommending it and introducing it at the City Council meeting. And I appreciate all you listening to me time after again. Thank you.
All right, so for the next video is going to be where I am sitting as the chairman of the Housing Authority, and you're going to get to see the opposition that I was faced with while on the Housing Authority board. I was proposing them for a meeting to happen where it was directors of the Housing Authority, Redevelopment Authority, and City to get together to come up with a meeting time and an agenda so we can all get together and have a meeting where everybody's in the room and we can sit and talk like adults about the problems with the Housing Authority, because everybody is a player and we should all be able to get in a room together and speak like adults. Just watch this meeting unfold. Remember, I was asking for a vote to have our director meet with the city manager and the Redevelopment Authority chair, or head of the Redevelopment Authority, to get together and get an agenda and a date and time for a meeting. Just watch this unfold. It's quite interesting if you can follow along, if you don't get bored or frustrated, but it interests me. we'll see you after the video.
Under new business, I would like to propose a motion for the Johnstown Housing Authority to approve the directors of the Housing Authority arrange a joint meeting with the Johnstown City Council and the Johnstown Redevelopment Authority to meet on a day and time that agreed with all parties.
Are you telling me to arrange it?
I
have some questions on that, and we'll talk about that. We might as
If
well
I
do
may
that.
ask, is there gonna be an agenda, are we gonna get like an agenda, or, I don't wanna walk into an ambush.
From what I understand, that meeting is being asked to, and the City Council passed, is it has an agenda with it. So we're gonna have a set agenda to talk about. But that's something that's why it's going to be, to arrange the meeting, meaning that we're giving the authority for the housing directors to take
Yeah,
care of.
but well, my question on this is, what's this going to be, who's going to be involved in this? Are there going to be 7 council people, 5 members of the Housing Authority Board, 5 members of the Redevelopment Authority Board, or are we just talking the director of the Redevelopment Authority, city manager, or myself? I don't know. What's the...
Board
We want
members?
17, why board members? You're going to want 17 people there at a meeting. And they have a hard time taking care of business with 7.
I understand.
Okay, and we're going to have 17, and plus staff people from both sides. There's a lot of people.
I think it's important for us all to be able to be in a room and get things accomplished.
Do you think it will get things accomplished?
And if we can't, that's very indicative of the issues that we have in the area.
And there won't be no, excuse me, there won't be no headhunting.
Well, if we have everybody there, that's the
I
point.
mean, I'm
is to
kind of
have-
leery about, if I knew it was an agenda, I got no problem.
Well,
But
why don't
I'm
we-
walking in blind.
Why don't we sit and figure out what we would like to see on the agenda and put that forward to our directors? That way they can then talk with the managers and the director of the redevelopment authority, and then they can relay that information to their board and council, and we can come to an agreement of a set agenda. Therefore, we'll all be approaching this on a level playing field, and hopefully we can all sit in a room like adults and have a meeting where we can move the city forward.
Well, my suggestion on it would be
Not just the
that,
city.
and I'm just throwing this out there because I'm thinking about the overall effects of everything, everybody getting together. But in order to establish an agenda for this, I would like to sit down with the city manager and maybe the redevelopment authority director and myself, and we come up with some talking points that we feel are essential to whatever we're calling the meeting together for to begin with. Okay? And then we come back and say, well, here's some of the items that we think we need to address, and some of the concerns that have been floating out there throughout this. I mean, I know it's been brought up to council, but I want to know what we need to talk about. And we're talking about poverty, distressed housing, certain things like that. If we're talking about that, then we can get some sort of idea as to where we're going to go with an agenda.
Okay.
Because if I have the city council make up an agenda, or we make up an agenda, or the redevelopment authority separately makes up an agenda, I don't think it's going to work. Okay, I think we maybe need to get the heads together on that, and then come up with an agenda, and then say we're going to sit down and do it. Talk about it.
I believe,
That's what that's just my suggestion.
That makes sense. I believe the other two have already voted, has the council voted? Okay, did they have anything, idea of what they wanted yet?
Yeah, they want no backstabbing.
Well, I think everybody's on the same page, that they don't want to be headhunted and go after each other, and I think that's fair, and I think perhaps we should I think we should pass this motion so that we can move forward on it, because I think the city and the redevelopment authority did just that. And I think if we all go into this in a positive way, and we all understand that we don't want this, we don't want back and forth and attacking, why don't we move it that direction?
And I feel if you're going to move forward, there's going to be something bigger than this,
Bigger,
than this room right here.
yeah, I don't know what other room.
You can, in my opinion, I feel that you should invite the Greater Johnstown School Board, because they have an opinion with the city too. And why couldn't we use the auditorium at Johnstown High?
Okay.
Because you're going to have, I'd imagine you'd have a lot of people that have a lot of input, a lot of questions. So,
If the public's going to be involved, there has to be some sort of control in the situation.
well, that's,
Because you know yourself, it's a comedy store when it comes to city council meetings.
right.
And there is no authority there, and there's nobody controlling it. And I've attended one or two of them, and it's ridiculous. If you don't have a parameter set, then it's not worth having this. It's just gonna be a shouting match.
Well, I understand
And I
that.
agree that the three directors should get together and write up some sort of idea what they wanna talk about.
Right.
I agree with
And I
that.
second
And then, we could.
And then we can set the meeting.
Say what we want to.
I don't mind, I agree with you, the meeting.
Because we're
But before they set the meeting up, let the three of them get together and set up the parameter of what we wanna talk about.
Get a main topic.
Each one can
at
take back what they, they know what we want to talk, he knows what we want to talk about. And each one of them have a parameter of what they want to talk about. Regardless of whether two of the city council members don't get along with the other five, the manager knows what their talking points are. So let him get something together.
And writing.
And writing, and the redevelopment authority, and then move
Then
on
we
with the
can go
meeting.
and vote.
Well, I made a motion for, I can repeat what the motion I proposed was, and if someone could second it or not, and we could move forward at that.
It would be no, because we don't know what it is. We just said
I
that they
I let
should
it
be
go back to
together
line in a
first.
second, because nobody wants to
Yeah.
second until you set up the meeting between the three directors.
I don't have any problem doing it. I mean, I'll
Yeah, we
sit
need
down
to part one first.
with the city manager and, director of the redevelopment authority, and let's find out, because I'm hearing a lot of different things. There's, the poverty and the drugs and things of that nature, and that was discussed here, just a little while ago. And they gotta be the same things that we're on the same plane that maybe we can help out with and get involved in. And I don't have any problem approaching and going after that, but, I just think that, and I'll set up a meeting.
If you want, I'll make it in form of motion.
I already did. I propose a motion for the Johnstown Housing Authority to approve the directors of the Housing Authority arrange a joint meeting with the Johnstown City Council and the Johnstown Redevelopment Authority to meet on a day and time that agrees with all parties. And if, is there a second?
second to that.
I'll second that motion then.
Technically, we should have done that before we discussed it, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
This is gonna be like a first step.
Well, I envision this as we're approving you to then move forward with the concerns that lay out afterwards.
That
So
meeting will be among the heads of each group.
they can meet and they can meet and set the agenda, but
And then-
we're approving them to move
We'll
forward.
get dates.
And then after you three meet, then we come back and pick a date, the rest of us, and we have a piece of paper, okay, we're gonna address poor people, or we're gonna address the drug problem, whatever it is, but and limit it to that, and not a shouting match where some of the disgruntled.
We're not talking about the issues. We have to talk about the issues. And I agree
So
wholeheartedly.
we're giving them, directors, the ability to go forward with the manager and the director of the redevelopment to then discuss with them a meeting time and an agenda set forward, because it's the most efficient way of doing so, for them to meet with it, and then delineate that to us, give us some dates, and give us an agenda.
Yeah, we'll try to come up with some dates that between the three agencies and go from there.
We have a motion and a second. We would like to do a roll call for that.
Okay, just so it's clear there, the motion does not include this executive meeting. Let's, so you know what you're voting on.
So we're voting on the heads getting together to talk about the problems at hand today.
So right now, the motion, repeat the motion.
I propose a motion for the Johnstown Housing Authority to approve the directors of the Housing Authority arrange a joint meeting with the Johnstown City Council and the Johnstown Redevelopment Authority to meet on a day and time that agrees with all parties.
We have that motion and a second.
And that is on motion and second currently. So that
That's not what I was agreeing to. What I was agreeing to was them getting together before we make that meeting.
That's what I agree.
And I'll rescind my second, because that's not what I agreed to.
do that.
Yeah, well, why don't we call, you had a second, so let's just call it to a vote. And then, you see what the vote is, then you can have a different motion.
Roll call?
Mr. Fidovich.
No.
Ms. Reed.
No.
Mr. Vukovich.
No.
Mr. Anoni.
No.
Dr. Taranta.
Yes.
And I'd like to make a motion to table this until we get the heads together where they can sit down, come up with a date and an agenda.
I motion.
Okay, motion and
Angela
a second.
seconded.
So motion and a second.
Yeah, that's for them to get together to talk about it.
I'll try to set something up within the
Just
month,
yet.
next 2 weeks,
Yep.
and get it rolling that way.
The motion was to table it.
I think your motion is to table the meeting of the board of directors and for the directors of the city manager, the executive director, and the director of the redevelopment authority to get together and have a pre-meeting.
Right.
That's your motion.
Right.
And Angela, that's what you seconded.
Correct.
Okay.
So, I have a question. Did the redevelopment authority and the city already pass a motion to have this meeting move forward? I believe so. And I believe if we do anything other than that, we look like the people who are holding everyone back. And I don't agree with that. I think we either are part of the solution or we're part of the problem, and I think if we do anything, if everybody's already done this, and if we're the ones that aren't doing it, we're the problem. And that's just my opinion. But we have a motion and we have a second, and then roll call.
Well, I think we're taking a different approach to it, is that we want to get the items on the table, but we need to know what the items are that need to be on the table instead of us, and if I can recollect correctly, when this was brought up, the individuals were not going to have a meeting until next year sometime. That's what was told to me regarding this. And I think I'm accurate in making that statement. But what we can do is get things lined up prior to this, and then have the meeting. I'm not opposed to it. I just say, I'm not going in there without knowing what we're going to talk about. That's my point. That's my point. And we've got to have some positive things to talk about and what we can do.
So what's the current motion?
I think the current motion, to restate it, would be that the scheduling of the meeting between the three different boards or council is tabled for now. And that, in addition, the motion is that executive director of the housing authority, the city manager, and the executive director of the redevelopment authority get together to meet to set an agenda
And dates.
and dates for a future meeting.
Then bring it back to the board so we can vote on what you said.
That's a motion. And a second. Roll call.
Ms. Reed.
Yes.
Mr. Anoni.
Yes.
Mr. Vukovich.
Yes.
Dr. Taranta.
No.
Mr. Vukovich.
Yes.
And it passes. Moving forward, tab 4. Any other new business?
And just like that, almost a decade later, and the same problems exist with no solutions and no conversation to deal with them. And that's what you get. It's depressing and it's frustrating. So let's take a look at what some local news had to say about the event. We go to the Our Town, Bruce Seawee, and he writes, area officials appeared to have no appetite for a joint meeting proposed by a member of Johnstown Housing Authority. Joe Taranto, who has been on the Housing Authority since 2013, has called for a public forum involving fellow members of the Housing Authority, Johnstown City Council, and the Johnstown Redevelopment Authority. He and former city council running mate John D. Bartola have touted this meeting as a way for local leaders to coordinate efforts regarding crime, drugs, blight, job creation, job retention, and poverty. Quote, "We need to talk about this and more," Taranto said. "We need all of our local leaders to meet and discuss these issues. We are not even having the discussion." Other officials, however, have given a wide range of objections. At the most recent regular city council meeting, Mayor Frank Janakovic said he doesn't need to attend this kind of forum because he deals with poverty head on every day in his role as head of the nonprofit ACRP. Taranto said he was initially surprised by the reactions. "When I get to speak or listen to leaders of other communities on councils and boards that mirror ours, they are for the most part working together. If we wish to have any meaningful progress, we can't be afraid to all sit in the same room and truly work together, not just pay lip service to unity," he said. "People don't want to sit in a room with other people to talk because they are more worried about being trashed, looking bad, and all the other things they all said. Don't forget the people who only want positivity. We have a lot of issues to deal with in our community, and many of them are negative." So I skipped over a little bit on that article and just read our quotes and a little bit from Mayor Frank, as he is still the mayor and they're still dealing with the problems that he didn't need to deal with because he runs ACRP and he deals with poverty. Apparently hasn't gotten any better. And our council is still floundering with the issues of housing and poverty and crime and job retention and everything else that we wanted to talk to a decade ago plus. And they haven't sat down with everybody to talk about it. They haven't found any solutions to it. And they're just not addressing it unless they want to grandstand a little bit and cover over maybe for a park that they shouldn't have spent $8 million on. And here we are. And this is how things will continue if you continue to put people like that in office. At that time, and currently, as I displayed at the last council meeting, I had a solution to help with the housing issue, but no one was willing to listen, because people didn't want to listen. So, we still have the same problem. We could have had a solution in effect for the last 10 years that could have changed the direction of our city, but they didn't. Will people listen now? Will you put people in office that are willing to listen to new ideas? Are you willing to put people in office that have new ideas and give them a chance to enact those ideas to change direction? Or will we continue to put in the same people, or the people with the same ideas, which is even worse because it's like a new face but the same ideas? Or are we going to put in people who are willing to go into a new direction, find a problem, analyze it, and think up solutions to that problem? I panned it out right there to them at City Council. I was willing to do that with them 10 years ago. Here we are today. It's time for a change if you want to change the direction of the city. And if you want that change, vote that change. Vote for John D. Bartola for mayor and Joseph Taranto for City Council. Until next time.